Hey, welcome to another episode of the D2C Insider podcast. I'm Brian Rosenthal, your host, and today we have a great one. I'm going to interview Stefan Ederborn. He's the founder of the electric motorbike manufacturer Cake, a seasoned entrepreneur who refined his skills with the creation and development of POC, a brand specializing in protective gear for adventure sports. Stefan has led Cake since 2016. Cake's groundbreaking bikes delight design aficionados while offering a path towards a more sustainable future. Before talking to him, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. As you have probably noticed already, customer acquisition costs are going up. There's lack of tracking and attribution is driving you nuts. And audience sizes are getting smaller after the iOS 14 update. If that wasn't enough, there are other factors such as the recession and supply chain issues, making it harder than ever to grow your brand. That's why we need to understand that it's really important to level up the marketing and design a solid strategy, as what used to work doesn't anymore. At BSR Digital, we have been helping countless e-commerce brands that wanted to scale their business to a next level through paid ads and email marketing for over a decade. So if you want to learn more about us, please visit bsrdigital.com. And if you want to reach out to us through email, please email us at hello@bsrdigital.com. Now, as promised, I have Stefan here with me. Hey, Stefan, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be exciting. Hi.
Yeah. So why don't you start by telling the audience more about you and your story?
All right. I'm Stefan Ytterborn, Swedish dude. Becoming a bit experienced. I'm turning 60 next year, which is kind of scary. I feel like 20. Anyhow, I've been running the path of being an entrepreneur since I pretty much left school at my in my early 20s, and but I think the common denominator throughout my different journeys has always been I'd say purpose. And I've been working in the fields of consumer product, consumer branding, and communication on a global scale. So, and basically, what I'm doing, I'm somewhat, I'd say, embracing my values, my drivers, and what makes me going in a company format. So I start companies around what really gets me going.
Awesome. And I know that Cake, as I said in the intro, is not your first invention or creation. I know that previously you founded POC. So
Yeah.
how do you, I mean, this is like probably a question because I'm really curious and passionate about people like you that comes up with great ideas all the time. Is how do you come with such great ideas consistently in a way that I don't know if it's too much what I'm going to say, but when I look at your website, when I look at your products, I'm talking about Cake right now. I it looks like the Apple of the electric bikes industry. They are so neat, so polished, so good looking, and I don't know if you get that much or if I'm the first one to do such comparison.
Now you're flattering me, and I blush, of course. No, but I would say that uh, everything we do is of course deliberate, but the reason behind what we do is potentially even more important. I never, everything I've been doing throughout my career has been about design. And speaking about design, then you need to define what is design. And in my world, it's all about materializing strategies, ideas, ambitions, and making them come alive. And it's not a certain style or something that you put on top, like cosmetics or whatever it might be. So even though everything you see in what we do is a consequence of an ambition of trying to innovate and change and to to bring purpose and improvement. And then in the end, we do care about how things turn out when we have kind of put our fingers on this is what we need to achieve. Then that needs to be elaborated, and of course that's a process itself that needs its talent, task, and competence, and not at least teamwork, because there's so many different individuals involved in developing products, anything from engineers to electrical engineers, industrial designers, graphic designers, and so forth. So again, yes, there is a bit of I get flattered at times, and I'd say that speaking about Apple, for instance, one of our big fans is Jonathan Ive, the former design director of Apple, and when you're being appreciated by guys like that, you know that you're on track.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I didn't know that. So we have been discussing with many guests here in the show about the importance of building a brand. I think this has always been the case, but now it's, I think, more important than ever. What do you think about that? Because you clearly have done that.
Yeah, no, I think to me, it's crucial. I mean, anything you do, it's about building relations. But I also think it's important because companies are being sloppy about this, which is, really risky. And you kind of lose momentum, following and sympathy, which is needed for that extended compliance and relation with your customers, or between an organization and a user, or a voter, or a citizen, or whatever it might be. And I think that we need to take a step back. And when I ask people about, in a dialogue, can you mention a really old brand? And they come up with ideas like Kellogg's or Coca-Cola, or whatever. And my take on that is that, hey, think about it twice. I mean, religions, they are the true brands, and they've been around since ever. They're all about, a philosophy, and that's where it starts. And that philosophy is then, being embraced and taken care of physically through architecture, whether that be, churches or temples. It's being, written and distributed through Bibles and whatnot. The graphic language, they would win any graphic design contest anywhere at any point, whether it's yin and yang, or a moon, or a cross, or whatever. And I'd say that again, branding has been around forever. And what's really comforting now is that, looking at the religions, they've been around forever, and they are, permanent in terms of being able to attract and continuously, I'd say, involve people. And to me, that's a good benchmark, trying to share the importance of branding. And, there are no shortcuts. Make sure that there's a story that you can stick to, which is true, honest, and then you kind of build your story around that, what the meaning of your, I mean, basically the reasons for the reason for any organization to exist. Make sure to pinpoint that, and from there you start building your communication. And in that sense, product is communication, online is communication, choice of media is communication, the way the tonality and how we speak is communication. So the thousands of signals that we are sending out as an organization need to be synchronized, controlled for consistency, and that's how you eventually kind of stick in the market.
Yeah, and also to add on top of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what a brand stands for, in this case, sustainability is something big for your brand, right?
Yeah, in our case, but again, one also needs to respect the fact that there's different religions and people believe in different things. Same thing goes for promises, values, products, functions, or whatever it might be. I mean, it's subjective. You need to understand that there's a certain audience that you intend to establish a dialogue together with, and it's between you and them. It's important to create that bond and the mutual liking. And then there'll be tons of people not understanding what you're doing, not supporting what you're doing, which is fine. Don't try to convince everyone. Make sure that you have friends out there that share your visions, values, and perspectives. That's, your core connection point in building your brand.
100%. So I said previously that I love the products that you sell, and clearly you have your own community of loyal customers and fans, but your products are not cheap. They are not expensive. They are just, in a price. They are not t-shirts, right? That you're selling here. So have you found any challenges in selling expensive premium products?
I think that, when I started Cake, I mean, we've been in the market for pretty much 3.5 years now. And I would say that when I started and the business, when I started raising money and so forth, it was the evident way forward to become a direct-to-user business. With POC, my previous venture, for instance, where it was all about sports equipment and protection and whatnot. We built a huge retail network, and we did sell online on par with that and so forth. In this case, high, premium products, with pricing being, a bit beyond, the average, is tricky because, there's so much information that needs to come together with a more complex product as well, in terms of, anything from sizing, fits, attachments that, could fit to your bike, different demands when it comes to driver's licenses or local regulations or whatever it might be. So there's a myriad of things that needs to be dealt with for the customer when making their decisions. So I've actually run into something that I thought was going to be much easier, to humbly realize that the buying process is complex, and we pretty much need to walk our customers through the process of buying to a much larger extent than what we could, what we believed in the beginning. And then again, we're a new company. I mean, products are new and so forth. So I think that as time goes by and we establish a more firmer, I'd say, position in the market, and there's a history to the brand and the product and so forth, I think that we will lubricate the ability for customers in actually making their orders without us holding hands at all times. But we put a lot of time, talking to our customers. It could be chat, it could be live, it could be, but it takes its toll actually.
So what would you say your advice is for those brands listening that are in the same position as you? Probably they are behind you in their journey, and they have a expensive premium product they are selling, and they don't know how to go about it or what touch points to have with their clients.
Yeah. I think that I was relying too much on technical solutions. I think that the first thing you need to do is to, in whatever media you're using, but make sure that there is a button that you can click where you actually get in contact with a person on the other side right away. Because we spend too much time leaving people hanging, not getting, response immediately and so forth. And this is the first thing I would do. Forget about all of the fancy stuff you can do on a website. Make sure that people can actually connect to you and there's someone responding right away. That's by far the most important advice I would give.
Yeah, it's something we have been discussing as well here. The importance of, being there for your customers, or for those who like to buy from you even. That's really important as a brand. It's not all about designing products and putting them up on a store. It's about the user experience they create, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So this has been great. I know we don't have much time, so I would love to, I really admire people like you, as I said in the beginning. So I'm wondering who you admire in this space.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. And I'd say that there's a German designer named Dieter Rams that was really, an early pathfinder in terms of activating or emphasizing functionality and simplicity through elegant solutions design wise. He's a master. But I would also say that there people that have influenced me heavily throughout my own career, designers like Jasper Morrison or Konstantin Gricic, or the Australian designer Mark Newson. So I think that, and not at least Apple, of course, I think that Apple, again, it's the most influential company when it comes to consumer preference. Everything is being influenced in what they're inspired by what they're doing, whether it's a car, if it's furniture, consumer electronics in general, and so forth. So inspiration is crucial, and I'm being inspired from tons of everywhere on a daily basis, and without that we'd be pretty standing still.
Awesome. So I appreciate you being here in the show. I really enjoyed the conversation. So for those who want to learn more about you or Kate, where should they go?
I think the easiest start would be ridecake.com, which is on the web, and of course we're in different social media and so forth. So I ride cake in one word is pretty much where you'd find us in most channels.
Okay, so as always, to you guys listening or watching this episode, feel free to go to the D2C insider.com, find this episode, and you will find all the notes right there. So, Stefan, I wanted to thank you again for being here in the show. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you so much. Great talking to you.